Hello, everybody. Welcome. I hope you all are doing well. Let me get the chat up. I haven't gotten the chat up. I was a little delayed. I had to get the oil and some fluids changed in my car because I'm doing a trip to see my family this week. Look at everybody. Wow. Good to see you. So, MegaMagic Pads is done. Oh, good, Derek. Glad to hear it. Hello, New Mexico. Well, we kind of have New Mexico temperatures right now here in Portland. We won't talk about it a lot. At least I better not talk about it a lot. But we're going to have record temperatures today here in Portland. I think the all-time record high ever recorded is 107. And we might break that today. And tomorrow, it's like 113, 111. Same for Monday. Crazy. Crazy. I've got my plants are indoors. My garage door is open so that there's air flowing into where I have all sorts of my recordings and tapes and stuff in the garage. I don't want it to get too hot in there and melt, get too messed up. And I've been checking the weather around the world, and other places in the world are chilly and rainy. So I love it. It's all over the place. Yeah, Arizona. Where I'm going to go see my mom and dad. They live in Eastern Oregon, Payette, Idaho, actually, which is right on the Idaho-Oregon border. 109 every day is their temperature. That's just hot. So anyway, my name is John Limcool. Welcome. This is our once-a-week live stream that I like to host and invite anybody that wants to come hang out to show up, and we can ask questions and we can talk about things. I'm going to show you I got a handful of things to show you, so there's a little bit of an agenda to what we can do. But I love to take left turns. Watch out if somebody asks a question. We might all of a sudden be looking at a library for Massive, just kind of how it goes. So if you're in the group chat, feel free to ask questions. I'm here to help and facilitate and all that kind of good stuff. I want to point out that the final version of MegaMagic Pads 2 is done. I was going to release it in July, and then I just I don't want to hang on. I don't want to just keep it. I just decided to buckle down, focus, and I made like 65, 70 patches this week for it, which turned into a really, really cool library. So I'm going to show you this. There's all these motion rhythms that you guys are going to love. There's a whole pulse toolbox, which is really, really cool. A whole lot of stuff to the library that's been added since the first release. It is available on my website. This is my humble little website, pluginguru.com. I have patch libraries there's like 80 libraries now, and the number of products, and you can see the list here of all the synthesizers that we support. There's a lot of libraries for all of your different plugins, so come here for any library inspiration you need. The library is on sale for $39. It's a $49 library. I'm going to extend the sale until July 5th. So this will stay through the July 4th sale. I'm going to have a little sale for the 4th of July and some other libraries and stuff like that. I like to have sales July 4th to celebrate and all that kind of stuff. But this sale will stay continued until July 5th at $39, which is a great price for what you were getting in this library. It's really a cool library. There is 2.2 something gigabytes of samples. It's 40 different pads, 11 samples across the keyboard for every one that go all over the place. Up here you see the different pads. The concept is there is an all, which is a single pad. Right? Then the A, B, C, and D, in some cases E, are the component pads that are used to make this, and they all have some sort of a motion element to them, which is really cool that it's a separated thing and you can play it dry or wet. There's all sorts of granular effect polygons and stuff you can apply to it. The multi is kind of cool in that it's a composite of the 4 elements in a patch. So you have the pad, the all, cool chords, or I love to chase cool chords. I actually had a customer write and say that knobs 11 through 16 were doing something weird. And what they're doing is what they're supposed to do, but it's not known to him. So I'm going to show you. He was saying, I spin this and I see it doing something, but I don't hear it doing it while I do it. And you're not supposed to. The idea is that this lets you play all of the elements, change to a different single element, just play it. Then these other knobs you can turn on and off different layers. So you can do really cool things where all of a sudden you go, everybody. And then it comes time for the verse and you just went, and it doesn't cut off. It's all done by the magic of turning on and off, listening to MIDI, right? So no longer is it, normally when we're doing this kind of stuff with the mute and solo buttons up here, if I solo, you hear a click, things abruptly change. If I want to mute parts, they're immediately muted, right? Well, this is a different way of working where we're not doing it on the audio channel, we're doing it via MIDI. And so it allows you to do some really cool trickery where you can have, let's turn on 3 and 1. You can even do such things as play one layer, play one set of sounds, go to another layer, play another set of sounds. Go to another layer, play another set of sounds. And you got a cool introduction to a song, all done. And if you have automation enabled in your sequencer, it will record all these knob movements, boom. So every one of the 7 master pads are designed in this way, where you have the elements, you have a stereo all mix, and then you have a multi where you can turn on and off the different layers. It's really fun and powerful. Here's the new patch that was made. These are new samples. This is Power Strings. Kind of sweet, synthetic. It's not supposed to be real strings. You have the separate elements, A, B, and C, and C. And then D is actually from Unify, but I performed the staccato strings of the cello, violin, viola, so you have a I thought it's kind of interesting. There's a new library from Spitfire Audio there, Albion Solstice. And part of the library, it's really interesting, is motion, performances with rhythm and stuff. I haven't talked to Christian, there's nothing there, but in the ether, there's energy there for people to do motion things, and we both picked up on it, so. Can you show how to tweak them to have variations that are more synth motion versus a bell type of sound? Sure. Let me show you this. So the concept of the library is you have pads. This is the same as MegaMagic Pads Volume 1, which is available for lots of formats, not native to Unify. However, this library is native only to Unify. It won't be available in other formats because of the pad switching with using the knobs. I can't do that in Omnisphere, can't do that in Contact as far as I know. And so it's only Unify that has those capabilities, plus all the MIDI file playing and the arpeggiators and all the effects and the water verb and all the magical things we can do in Unify don't exist anywhere else. So this is only a Unify library, okay? After the pads, just like MegaMagic Pads Volume 1, there is a synth version of every patch, which is a faster, right? So every one of them is played fast attacks, kind of plucky in a lot of cases. Now, if you were to go to Tidal Tsunami B, the pad, let's go Tidal Tsunami B pad. It's a whole different vibe. Now, to turn these into synth patches, the motion patches, number one, move the sample start in Guru Sampler into the sample. Shorten the release of the amp. And then you can do some fun things. The random allows you to randomly play in the sample, which makes it just more organic. And as you bring this higher, it goes to a wider range, plus and minus. I want to also point out, you have access to the samples. So this is the sound of this patch with all 11 samples. So a sample for each range optimized is there. It's sometimes really fun to go down here and choose a single sample across the whole keyboard. You'll get a totally different vibe. Looks like included, yes. So a couple of these I have, as you can see, wet, but there's no dry. I didn't make a dry, but I decided to put wet so that you would know when you're looking at this list, the patches that have motion, because only the motion patches have wet. So this way I know this is my motion patch for Troubled Waters. If I play Troubled Waters all, but I can see that C is the motion, just because I named it wet. So I did that for myself because I thought that would help others as well. So sometimes there is a wet and a dry, like here. And this is the synth version of Destiny, so let's come up here to so here's the dry. And again, these are performances I played. This is actually a plasmonic patch from Brian Clevenger's wonderful synth. It's got this really cool bell personality, but I played each range. I played a different kind of a rhythm performance for each one of these. Played different little additional accidental notes in there. So if you play them as chords, you just get this cool rhythm happening, right? And then the wet version is typically the one that's in the all mix because it's processed with reverb. But the wet in the definition is just to help you know that that's a motion sample set versus I know that this is going to be a solid pad because it doesn't say wet, right? Even though there's reverb in the samples, but it helped my brain, so I thought it might help your brain, so that's how I did it. Now, after the synth stuff, all the fast, cool, this, Tidal Tsunami C, if we go to the pad, Tidal Tsunami C, it's this really cool noise spectrum thing. but it makes it really cool. And if you take this and then you go to the factory library to any synth patch, go to synth, like let's do a raw power Klamath and layer this. And I'm gonna say load into new Unify because I'm not sure how many layers there are. A lot of times I just say just load the first layer. But let's say load into Unify and now get your levels balanced, turn down the top level. Now you have a really cool, unique attack from this, which if you didn't have it, let's mute it. See the difference? So it's really a cool noise element to layer with any synth patch from any plugin you own. And it will like all of a sudden give you a whole new different perspective on it, right? So those are cool. Then at the end, this is where I spent the whole last week deep diving into making bonus patches. And you can see there's a whole lot of stuff. I made a boo-boo. Oh well, there's supposed to be no space between the Z pad, but Manta Ray Parade starts it off. Which is a nice place to start. You can just see an ocean of manta rays just swimming by and gracefully doing their thing. Then you get a huge dubstep takeoff into something else, right? A couple basses. I decided not to go too far into that direction, but I did have few things in that direction. This was kind of fun. And you can do some crazy things if you go to Gru's sampler. Actually, I set it up to a knob. The pump rate, I'll go to 1. Right here, pulse depth. Because our LFO depth is 48 semitones, 4 octaves, so you can go from that's pretty fun. Alone in 0G is really, really beautiful. There's actually a pad. Let me play the pad first. Pad, Alone in 0G. So here's the pad. So I took this, and then the rest after this went into BPM stuff. So Alone in 0G Volume 2. And then 3 just takes it even farther. I love to do things with, let's see. Yeah, this is using one of the motion patches with Blue Arp, playing a little octave kind of thing, with playing chords and then single notes. Right? Busybodies. And I love, love, love our depth is up to 4 octaves for the pitch EG, which is coming from an LFO that's set to 1 shot. You can just get super tacky, snappy little attack things. If you you want to get even snappier, you can add a segment and like make it just a quarter of this. I mean, you can get incredible snappy little micro millisecond things going on there that are really, really fun. Justice. Ma'am, where were you at 5:15 yesterday? And now we get to motions. These are rhythmic patches using the motion sample sets. So these are a little bit more complex than what I'm going to show you in a minute with the Pulse toolbox. It's a straight ahead, simple one, and then they go from there to get. Love this kind of stuff. This is so useful. What's fun with this is it's a single layer. So you can open this up and you can go literally to any sample set of any library. You can go to the Unify standard library, to even like the viola library, and go to like the big Flutterscapes and stuff. Right? It will go anywhere. So any library that you have access to a simple pulse. This is the pulse shape. And I cornered it at 75%, but you can make it shorter. And all you have to do is open presets, go to the rhythmic pulses, like go to like a quarter note, because this is like anything that's got a lot of segments, you're going to need to divide to be slower. Now combine that with Motion's Rhythm 1. You can make rhythmic Nirvana like crazy with what we have here to play with. 3. Because their motion samples are just weird random stuff to them. Right? 4. This is one where the LFO is going crazy. Couple quick shortcut tips for the LFO. If you hold down Option, you can raise and lower any segment without moving it. So this allows you to keep the timing in place. Right? If you just click in here, you can change the curvature of each segment. Right? So you can go rhythmically, magically crazy with these in such really cool ways. And it is so tight. It's far snappier than any other LFO that I've used to do this kind of stuff. I mean, listen to that. It's just beautiful. 6. They just get more and more complex as we go. And then 7's... right? So, fun stuff there. Now, the Pulse Toolbox is all about giving you the tools, quarter notes, eighth notes. These are so useful in all sorts of pop songs, so I gave you them 16th notes. And I'm going to point out the 16th note one has a trick. I'm actually using it's an eighth note, but it has 2 pulses so that you can vary it to get varying 16th notes. Sometimes you want it just to be a little bit. You don't always want it to be just 16th note straight. You want to have a little rhythm control and curvature. You can go all sorts of places by using Option to change the levels without changing the timing, and then clicking to change the curvatures. You can make this 16th note anything you want. It's really, really fun. So the 16th note has that additional little side thing. Other rhythms. Some of the standard ones for all your techno styles and trance. And because of some of the samples that have growth and stuff in them, you can get some really cool And again, the magic of Unify is that all these patches you're looking at, you can combine just by right-clicking on it and saying, give me a solid pad with this. I'm curious what that would be like. Oh, this is the synth. Let's get up to the pad version. So I'm gonna hold down Option, click the far right bullet to make it go away, and go to Pad, right-click, load into new Unify layer, and then if I wanted to, I could go back to the rhythmic stuff, right-click, add more rhythm. You now have all of these patches are all building blocks. That's what's so powerful with Unify, is when you look at a library, you're not looking at it as just a bunch of single patches by themselves. You're looking at these as like tools in your Lego box. And you can put these together. I found a really cool one was to use, I think it was Pulse Rhythm 5 and then Motions 4. Made a really, really cool. Or was it 5 and 4? It was 5 and 4 between the two. Let's see which one's better. Yeah. I like that. So rhythm, 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 rhythm. Lots of rhythm. Here's the one we did in the live stream last week. Right? What speed limit? Get a drum groove going, a cool snappy 16th note synth bass part, and you get yourself a really cool tune. Really cool keyboard sounds. Right? Twinkle, twinkle. Right away, cool lead. Lots of pads, of course, so there has a cool pad growing with a bandpass filter and resonance. Lots of plucks that are like rip your head off plucks. Zappy. Right? All sorts of fun things. Snapzilla. I want to point out something because I'll be showing you a synth in a few minutes that has similar limitation / capability, depends on how you look at it. We currently in Guru Sampler, the LFO is not per note. It's a single LFO that is going to be, it's basically monophonic. It's one. So if I play a note, I hear that snap. If I play a note and then play other notes, the snap is gone because it's dedicated to the first note that I played. And it's not, I mean, in this case, it's cool because this way you can control. You can do some fun things with this to get where you have things that have attack, things that don't have attack. I'm going to show you a synth where their envelopes are this way, and it's a massive, fatal mistake, in my opinion, because an envelope, and that's your only envelope. Our envelopes, when you go up here to everything else, it's per voice. I could set up a really cool resonance sweep that goes, right? And each note I play, they each are independent. It doesn't restart each time you play a note. So we have per note for all that stuff, but the LFO is a global, it's not per voice. I'm going to show you a synth in a few minutes where their envelopes are this way, where it's not per voice, and it's a problem. But you know, it has other strengths that are unique to it. So we'll get there in a minute. So that's the library. There's a ton of fun stuff. I love Titanfall, or the Resfall. There's just cool, moody. Right? So all sorts of fun stuff to play with. Butterfly Kisses is fun. This is one that's using, this is a trick from the M1, Korg M1 days, where you use a really slow LFO on motion samples to raise and lower it in pitch, and then you have static pads underneath it. Right? So this is like Universe, which was made by Michele Patchouli, which was a really great example. He used a sample called Lore that had this really cool. You could probably change this to be other. Let's see here. Butterfly Kisses is kind of in that direction, kind of an homage to that kind of a voicing approach. So 150 patches based on 40 pads, cool library. I'm very proud of how it came out. The majority of the library, other than the power string samples, was made in Mexico. I was down seeing a friend for a couple weeks and just kind of happened. It was really, really fun how it happened. So really cool. So fun stuff. So that, let's put a little bow on that. I'm going to take you to another place that's of interest to us all, and that is Spitfire Labs. They have been busy. They have an auto harp that they have added to the library. They have a bass guitar they've added. It'll take a minute to load the samples because of the way Spitfire audio is. You have both plugged. I will point out, just for those of you, let's see here. Spitfire audio. Let's see, do I want to go to Labs? So here is the website. If you don't have this, this is kind of a special thing that is rare in the industry, but because these guys are so successful with their orchestral libraries, they do a lot of generous things that other companies can't. And one of them is releasing Labs, which is a series of all of these different libraries that are free. And all you need to do is have a hard drive big enough for, I think we're up to over 3.5 gigabytes now. Mandolin, all sorts of things that are just wonderful. All sorts of wonderful instruments. Organic textures, bass guitar, auto harp, and did I do the percussion? I can't remember if I did percussion or not. Let's see here. I did. The percussion libraries here. So they have that, a whole map across the keyboard of things to play with. The auto harp I was showing you, which just came out a couple weeks ago, it also has strums, so you can major, minor, and sevenths. Slow strums and faster strums. Bass guitar, they have both an amp, which has the kind of the amplified vibe on it, whereas the DI is a direct input into the board. And because this is Unify, you can right click and layer the two together. Which is really cool. And they can't do that. Here's warm bass, which is darker, really usable, and DI. And again, we can right click and layer them. I can even right click and add all the basses to make a big super bass. Hold down Option, turn down the volume to 6. I did make a bonus patch down here at the end, a split. So if we go down here to just if I say split, let's see, where is it? Warm and Cozy by the Fire, which has one of the piano patches, which uses the free soft piano with all these other beautiful pads. With their bass. These are all free patches. The way to get this library, first get Labs. The way you get Labs is by getting the Spitfire Audio application, and then you go to the Labs tab, and you can just click and hit install for all of them, and it will install them. Tell it where you want to install. Under settings, you can go to default content path, set that where you want it to be for everything to be installed. Once that happens, then go to pluginguru.com, our website, and go to the Unify page. I'll show you. So if you go over here to, I always have a banner at the top for the latest version of Unify, so you can click there just to get to Unify quickly, and scroll down the page, and boom, down here all of a sudden are the libraries that we sell that are for Unify, and then boom, we get to this crazy list of all of these libraries that are available for free. You just click and it's going to download from Dropbox for all of these different plugins. And let's see, down here, Spitfire Audio Labs, click that. It will take you to the page where you can download the labs. You just go over to this little button right here and say download, and you now are able to download it, drag the Guru file, or use this little select Guru file to select the Guru file that comes with the library, and it will install. The one rule is that when you go to your plugins, if you get an error message that says it can't find the VST, if it says VST in the description, then that's the problem that you need to fix. What you need to do is go down to the plugin page, scroll down the list till you get to Spitfire Audio Labs, I believe is what they call it. Spitfire. Or maybe it's just called Labs. I probably have to go up here to Labs. You want to find Labs and see LM Labs. See how this says VST? You want it to say VST. If you have Unify looking at the VST3 or the audio unit version, the patches won't work. To fix that, you can right click and you can say remove this plugin if it's like the VST3 or the audio unit. Go to operations, select plugin files to scan. Just go to your VST folder, just LABS, find labs, hit open, boom. Just like that, it's loaded it. Now you can choose one of these patches, and instead of getting the error message, you're gonna get a happy set of sounds to play, eventually. And a whole bunch of these patches were made by various plugin Guru Nation customers. You guys all help contribute to this labs library. Maybe later this year we'll do another community play, because it's fun that everybody can have access to all of these samples to play with. And there's so many places to go. It's really fun. So the third library was the organic textures, which is really, really, really cool. This is very similar to my Signs of Life, a library that I did of environmental being processed. They did that to some samples that this guy recorded in England. This is Thunder and Bird Song. So there's wind and birds. So you hear the birds. Kind of cool. So there's 5 different, the rain ones are really cool. Although the rain's a little weird. Let's see, Signs of Life. I've got the bonus. Anyway, I'm not going to show you Signs of Life, but it's similar to that kind of stuff. So I have added these patches to the new version that you can download from the Plugin Guru page. So just by going to the, just pluginguru.com/products/unify-standard, that will get you to the page for buying Unify. Thank you for all of you that buy. And then you can see all the libraries that are available here. If you own Obsession, then get the library for Obsession, and this will put Obsession's patches into Unify so you can play and layer them up and do all sorts of cool things with it. So it's really, really fun. So that is kind of the, let's see here. Let's see. Interesting discussion you guys are having. I'm following along, checking out a little bit. Yes, Shane is very talented. This is his baby. And so it is his code writing that has got us here. We are a pretty cool team to work side by side. We have some things we're working on. I can't wait to show you guys. Super, super cool coming stuff. So this library is available. All these patches can be yours for free inside of Unify. They do really cool things. With the Labs library, that the Labs library could not do this stuff by itself ever. because this allows you to do the layering and stuff and save it as a patch to call back up just as quickly as. Right? So, good stuff there. Now, I'm going to show you the audio effect first. Let's do this. We're going to go to Noise Box. Well, I don't know. So, this is a guitar effect, multi-effect guitar. And when you first call it up, let's just call up a pad sound, just for the fun of it. Because I made some patches that I'm going to give you guys. I have to put them on Dropbox and give you a link, but let's take this. And then I'm going to change this to go down here to, where is it at? Muramasa Electrum. Now, if you want this library, I'm going to give you the link. This is, what's it called? Electrum. It's $15 to buy this right now. So it's a pretty sweet deal. When you call it up, however, be aware it is programmed for balls to the wall distortion. So here is the link for this. All sorts of different types of distortions, cabinets. There's a really cool ambience which has all these different ambiances that give things a presence, which is really, really cool. Useful for lots of things. I've made some patches and I'm going to show you how to load these. If you click the little dot to the right of each effect, this gives you access to swapping out the effect. But under operations, there's also the ability to load and save plugin state. If we go load plugin state, in the Electrum presets, I have some pads that I have created. Oh, this is strange. It's not letting me. Huh? That's very weird. Let's see. Operations, load, plugin state. Oh. That might be one of the things that we have a few things. This is a beta version of Unify, and maybe this is the one that doesn't work. Okay, we'll give it a week. This, you're probably still running the older beta. Yeah, I am. So, it's a cool distortion effect. It can get into, I'll give you some clues. If you set it to blue and bring down the gain, it can be stereo, which is nice because a lot of these that do this type of stuff, you can't have them be stereo. It turns the source mono. It is CPU heavy, be aware. I think they might optimize that. It's a new effect, I believe. But you can get some really cool things out of this. I also made some really cool things for Noise Box. I was going to show you where it does some really cool things where, let's call it up here, go Muramasa. This gate is really cool. You can bring the threshold up. To minimize the groove, change the attack. You can just be kicking snare if you want. Or everything, or a little cleaner version of that. And then if you go down here to these different cabinets, This tilts it more to the right to be bright. This is darker. Go to the modulation. The phaser and flange are really cool. So it's a really cool multi-guitar effect. Other things it has that are really cool, I thought were fun to play with, is it has a bass man, which will just darken it and distort it. As the sound, you can control the input, which is on the left side, and then the output on the right side, so you can see what's going on there. Has EQ matching. It has some rather interesting things. It has a tuner built into it, so that you can... They'll try to tell you if you're in tune or not if you have a guitar hooked up, so you can have that working. Really cool. For $15, it's pretty no-brainer in my opinion. Okay, so Electrum. Gave you the link to check out. It's a pretty cool distortion multi-effect aimed at guitars, but it can be used for dirty pads. It's really great for dirty pads, stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure you're aware of that. There's a new synth, and I'm going to tell you right now, this synth has been crashing for me a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. But it's an interesting synth. It's from Crotos. It's called Concept. It's actually Concept version 2, even though it's still called Concept in its name that you find when you load it up. And this is the synth I was telling you about. We were talking about the LFO and the envelopes. In the middle here, you see this modulation area. And when you click these, each one of these can be set to different things. The XY capture is super cool. And envelope is what I was talking about, where there's very few parameters. And it's just it's mono triggers. So it kind of limits how it can be used. But the thing that this has going for it that makes it like, oh, is that the two oscillators can do granular as well as synthesis, just standard subtractive synthesis. And the factory patches that it has are really great. Somebody spent some great time making all sorts of cool sounds. And there's, I think, 800 megabytes of samples that it comes with. But this XY capture is really cool. You can actually hit record, move along the XY, and then it will play back your capture of whatever nuance you do between the oscillators and different parameters. And if you want to choose different parameters to add, all you have to do is click their name. And, oh, I guess we can't. But like detune, we can. Blend, bring that down here, and that becomes a parameter that you can control the range for. That's now modulated by this XY capture. We could say filter cutoff. Bring that over here. And now it's being modulated by this XY capture. So that's really cool. There's XY capture that's that easy to use and assign to things. Gets a skippy thumbs up. So there's a lot of, if you're into cinematic, there's some really cool cinematic. Look at all these categories: soundscapes, rhythm friendly. If you go to the cinematic, these ambiances, these are super cool. Has a cool vibe. You know, they advertise this to be easier to program than other things, but sorry, it's just as complex as anything else out there. You have 3 effect slots over here where you can choose different effects from a nice list, including convolution, reverb, ring mod, transient shaper, which is interesting, and then a tweak it. And tweak it is interesting in that when you click here, you can choose what parameters you want it to tweak and how far out you want it to tweak each time you hit tweak it. So that way, you can have it like just do subtle changes between your choice of what parameters you want, which is really clever. So some cool ideas. I really like some of the ideas in this synth. When I got deeper into programming and playing around, I found I could crash it. But just playing patches, it should be, it might crash, I don't know, but it's early. It just came out. If you want information on this, it's crotos.com/concept. That's their website. Here, I'll put it into our chat. This is a version 2. You know, they always have somebody playing to the music and they're bouncing like they're doing to the rhythm, and it's totally off with the music, of course. But it's a nice try. You've got really cool, again, the envelopes are the most disappointing thing to me. There's no curvature to them, just ADSR. They do have this thing called advanced shape, which can get into more advanced shapes. But it's half off or whatever they call it right now. So there you go for information. Again, they're trying to sell it as modern synth, beautiful sounds without the complexity of operation found in many other synths. And I'm sorry, but there's just as much complexity here as there is anywhere else. I don't know where it's that much easier in sense of programming than anything else. But their marketing department tried really hard to come up with something unique, right? So the bottom line is the sounds that it makes are interesting, and there's potential you can put your own samples into here, so it can play with your own samples, which is cool. Yes. Manuel says, I bought Electrum this morning and some of the patches are very hot and noisy. Yes. It's a hot and noisy distortion library. Any news about the guitar library? That's probably going to be the next library release. Here, we could do this. In fact, let's check this out. I was wanting to do this and didn't get a chance. At this point, I have just a whole lot of work to do to make different sets that you can jam to and play with, right? We now have it set so it shows you the key here. If you go to the knobs and change to another phrase, they'll tell you it's G minor, right? So you can spin through them. G minor. So let's see what happens. Let's put Electrum on this. We go Muramasa Electrum. Oh, nice. 3 strobes. Wow. Why is it doing that? And why is it doing that? Cool. Okay, well, let's call just a simple. Let's go back to Muramasa. See if it. Let's not play anything. Call it up. Hands off the keyboard, and we get stroke. Cool. Well, we can still hear. Nice. I think this would be a good relationship. Now, we have emailed the guys at behind this plugin, from behind Electrum, to let them know some issues. We'll let them know. We'll send them the link to this part of the video so they can see what it's doing. There's something that's not quite set quite right. But it sounds really good. Now some of you'd want to like, so we have this system set up where we can tell you what chord it is, and instead of being, let's say we get rid of this. What I like to do is have this be a Unify layer so that we can go anywhere inside of Unify. Let's say we have it be like a cool pad, say, or maybe a synth, because I'm gonna do a little bit faster attack. So let's go synth, call this into a Unify layer. Let's choose a different phrase. Bass down an octave. You get the idea. So there's all sorts of places. This isn't the right sound, so I can And again, there's something going on with the guitar distortion taking up all the DSP power. If I have this go away, boom, DSP drops to be manageable. So something isn't right there. But that can be fixed. So that type of stuff doesn't worry me when it's that software. Software is fixable. That's one of the nice things with software. I have sat in meetings with Korg synthesizers where it's like, sorry, we don't have this feature on this chip. The next chip, next generation, we will. So we had to voice synthesizers with certain things that we wished we had, and the chip didn't have them, and you could not update the chip because it's hardware. So software is wonderful in that sitting here with something that's blinking and doing all that stuff, I don't freak out about that at all because it just takes them going, oh, well, it's listening to this information it shouldn't be, and boom, it fixed, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah. So, Electrum, this new synth is interesting concept. We can play with that a little bit more. If you have questions, pop them up in the thread. We've got about 20 minutes left, and I've got the AC on the whole time today, which I usually don't, but it's warm enough I have to have the AC on. So let's go to Crotos Concept. What are the instruments? What are the instruments? Top right corner. Are you, Nicholas? What are the instruments? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you talking about inside of the effect, or inside of Concept, or inside of Unify or a library? Yeah, the Korg synths came out just fine. It's one of those things where you don't know a lot of what goes on in the background with some of these companies, right? Oh, if you're talking about this, right? Okay, so this is kind of fun in that Unify, for each of the patches that are saved in all of the different libraries that I have here, each one it's saved with a certain plugin. So if I said, I want every plugin, every patch that's using DX, it will now list below just the plugin patches that use DX in them. It just uses one DX in this. Right? Since I have all libraries, I can go all over the place. Like this is, I believe, factory voicing. So, this is the Unified Spitfire Labs. And just so happens, has a layer of DX. So if I was, I was talking with someone about the hex drum. Hex drum's a really cool, like kind of a, it's actually a really cool for Simmons type things. So like Blinded Me. I mean, it sounds so great. So you can use this. These are just tools. Up here are your various tools. A lot of people like to use these. I hardly ever use these. I just go down here because the patch names have the name of the category in them. But every patch is saved with registering what plugins were used in it. So if I want to use labs, here we go. And for some reason, there are some that are labs 64-bit, which I don't know what that's about. Omnisphere, I could see what patches use Omnisphere. Anything I want, The other way to see things is, of course, to go up to the Libraries tab and just limit the patch view to a specific library that you see. So, hope that helps. And what is RAM in Unify? Yeah, we don't have anything that shows RAM memory anywhere in Unify. This is all, the right side is kind of like what's sharing the CPU usage. And this is just a global CPU usage, so you can see what's eating up lots of power, Yeah, we have like a 40-page patch request, so keep asking questions. We'll keep adding them to the list. It's pretty crazy. Why are these not playing? Oh, that's why. Let's see. I'm going to hit report, and I'll show that to Shane later. We always like to see what was it that caused something. It doesn't crash very often. When you start playing with these extra libraries and stuff like that, you never know. All right. So any other questions? That was the majority of what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you the new version of MegaMagic Pads. It's done. Yay. On sale till July 5th. The Spitfire Labs library has been updated to all of the current libraries that are out and available for it. There are patches for all of them. So you can say Moon Guitar. And you could add the organic textures to this. And eventually show up, add a guitar. And play around. Well, the one on the right is just showing we have these various effects. We have auxiliary bus. If I add another auxiliary bus with more complex, let's say from patches, because these get to be more complex. And because that's in memory now, on the right side, the division you can see is divided. The purple is the master effects right here is purple. There is no red. So it's purple, the turquoise, and then the green. As you play, it might change. This is just the division of what is eating up power inside of Unify right now, divided into the various sections, right? What this shows is it's sampling all of your processors, and it's showing you one that's working the hardest so that you can see what its processor load is. That's the one that's being worked the hardest. It's not like your entire processor is divided or something like that. It's just showing you which of your processors is working the hardest. I will point out we do have a release update coming this week, probably, at least for Windows PC people. The Mac side, we're having a little bit of a notarization issue with Apple. They are aware of the problem. It's on their end. It's nothing we have any control over, but we can't notarize right now. So But we want to release this at least for the PCs, especially because the last update that's 1.5, it actually has VST3s not working on the PC side, which is kind of unfortunate, but we have an update that fixes that. So that will be out towards the end of this week, I would think. Now, this coming week, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a live stream or not. I will be in Idaho and at my mom and dad's house, and I don't think I'm going to have the internet bandwidth to do a live stream. So there will not be, let's see. Yeah, that would be the 3rd, the day before the 4th. No live stream. So we'll have a week off for everybody to stay cool. So Toby is mentioning he too was having fun with Apple. Sorry, Toby. Also, just to point out, just so that you guys, if you have questions, please come to our forums, forum.pluginguru.com, forums.pluginguru.com. There you can ask questions on all sorts of issues. You can search the database. There's been a lot of questions that have been answered. So there's information here. If you come across something that's not working right or that you want to understand something about, feel free to come here and we will be glad to help you out, talk to you and get everything working for you. All right. So, oh, I just closed the chat. That's not good. YouTube. Here. Oh. And we're back. Okay. So, we come to visit your folks. Thank you, David. Yeah, I haven't seen my mom and dad in over a year because of COVID, because of all the crazy stuff our planet is going through to try to get on top of this virus. Or is it a virus? No, it's not a virus. It's a bug, bad bug. Anyway, yeah, the Chill guitar library will come out second half of July, I'm thinking. And it's going to be really, really fun. To summarize, for those of you that are not familiar with what it is, if I go over here to the library, what I've done is 61 guitar phrases that I have used Logic's sampling tools and its liquid audio capabilities to get them all timed out so that they all play at the same tempo, and then sample them all out at 7 different tempos. So every note you play on the keyboard is a different guitar phrase. And they're all tempo locked. So if I go to Cloud City or Noise Box, they are all tempo locked. And work with all the other loops. And if you listen to any pop music, so many of them use a cool little guitar phrase or some other phrase that shows up in the choruses, goes away for the verses, comes back in the choruses, now it's got a delay on it, you know. It's really fun to use these. And so this same phrase on G, if I go to the chill guitar phrases and I go to 120 beats per minute, it's the same phrase. just at 120 beats per minute. They don't change tempo with your sequencer. And that's the one unfortunate thing. That's why I have 7 of them at these 7 most common tempos, you know, anywhere from the 75. When you get into the chill and the urban, the breakdown, chill kind of stuff, or you get to the club stuff. Go over here to these guys and choose something like this, no pitch shift, and off you go. Every note is a different phrase. And if you go into the actual Guru sampler for this, we now have with this update the ability to see what the chord progression for each one of these samples are. So if you choose this one, this is with B flat minor to a D flat sus2. So right? Daniela has a question. Can you show how to separate in plasmatic knob 1 from the mod wheel? Yes. So the easy way to do that, Daniela, right click and say unassign. And now this is no longer assigned to the modulation wheel, so it no longer moves when you call up a patch. The other thing to do is you could go here to the link parameters and just hit the little X to delete anything that might be assigned. So let me see here. Let's go to Plasmonic. It's going to take a second, so I've got to go reveal in Finder. You guys can't see this because there's some stuff we're working on that is not public yet. But if I go to temp, let's go to Plasmonic, the library. I'm going to put it into Unify. Put it into the libraries folder. Click the little refresh. When this pops up, Plasmonic's library will be available. I've heard Daniela talking about this problem for a while, so there's go Skippy Hendrix. Oh my gosh, Ken. No, knob 1 have 2 functions. The original should be there. See, this is one of those things where I'm not even exactly sure what is the problem or how to fix this, but let's take a look. Part of the problem is that inside of Plasmonic, there's the ability to set up the mod wheel to do all sorts of things, right? So here's the unified Plasmonic library, say a pad. So we call this up, and it calls up a really cool, hopefully cool, right? Now, knob 1 does this. Yeah, what it's doing is, so it's doing instrument 1, plug in M1, instrument 1. Oh, it's doing M1, which is the very first. Yeah, so I set these up so that these 4 knobs are set up to control these 4 capabilities inside of Plasmonic. Down here you have these different knobs that can do different parameters, right? The filter cutoff. That's all the mod wheel is doing. Right? If you don't want it to do that, all you have to do is go to the little bullet to link parameters and hit delete. And that makes it so that this is no longer controlled to change anything in Plasmonic. Especially because I've turned off mod wheel. Right? It was originally assigned to mod wheel, so that this is what's originally designed inside of Plasmonic. But again, you can go to the link parameters, delete that, You can also go here and say unassign, and now this knob doesn't do anything, okay? Yes, the knobs are macro functions, correct. And that's the way to disconnect them if you don't want that to control anything inside of Plasmonic. It's now dead. It doesn't change anything in Plasmonic. See? I move it, nothing happens. Is the entire Plasmonic library going to be in MegaMagic Pads 2 whenever we install it? Yes, so each of these libraries that you see is a separate library that is available. The plug-and groove ones you need to own. If it says O2, that's for Omnisphere. So these are all patches that use Omnisphere. So if I call this up, it calls up Omnisphere, it calls up the effects. Does Plasmonic have any hard functions assigned to the mod wheel? It does. And you can turn those off inside of Plasmonic. So this called up Omnisphere. Omnisphere is a separate purchase. Each of these libraries are separate. So the Plasmonic library, this library only works if you own Plasmonic. Remember when I told you guys about the Unify standard page, right? So when you go to this page and you scroll down, here you get to this list of all of these libraries. Each one of these is a separate library. When you download and install that, it will show up in this library pull-down menu. But you only install these libraries if you own that specific plugin. Like, I think we now have Serum. Have we released that? Maybe we haven't released Serum yet. That's one that we're working on. How long did it take you before you considered yourself a world-class expert in sound design? Oh, Lord. I still don't consider myself a world-class expert in sound design. I'm experienced just because I've been doing this since 1988. I'm happy to share my knowledge, but I don't put a label on, world-class. I just love sound design, and I love to share everything I know and make sure that you guys have the coolest tools to work with for your music productions, whichever directions they go. Yeah, I try to be really humble with this stuff because this is a gift given to me, and I love to share it and help everybody I can to get everything they can out of all this electronic stuff. My goal is to make it so that a lot of times when you sit down and you write music on a piano or something, you're in a certain headspace that's very different when you're working on the computer because you get kind of hung up with all the technical stuff. So if I can help you guys with their technical stuff so that when you sit down, you're able to be creative and be productive without going into like the computer freak out kind of mind that a lot of us have, that's why I do this. It's hopefully to help you guys be enlightened with the tools and how they work. But what I wouldn't call myself that. Thank you, Guy. I'm here for you guys. This is all for you. I come here every week for 90 minutes. I've been doing it for probably almost 3 years straight. It's pretty fun. Or 2 years straight, something like that. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm just here to like try to shine spotlights on this technology stuff. And I love to make sounds, and I love to, it's a miracle to have a relationship with Shane where my thoughts and desires in software can be realized. And we're trying to push stuff in some places kind of special, I think. And so, it's really cool. Right? So, thank you all. That's nice, Daniela. Yeah, I probably won't put it in any libraries, but I'm glad that you're being productive with the tools. Big shout out to Shane. Right on, Big E, my brother. Shout out. So let's do our shout outs from wherever we are. Shout out to Shane and shout out from Portland. What's the temperature? I'm curious. What's the temperature right now here? 99. It's supposed to go to 108 today. If it goes to 108, that will actually be a new record for highest temperature ever recorded. Only 2 times in history has it been over 100 degrees, I think, in Portland, Oregon, in June. And here we have 3 days in a row. So, yeah, it's super hot here. And Camus, it's hot. Yeah, it's hot everywhere. Shout out to all of you. I love soccer. Oh, I got to see what's going on in the soccer match, too. Italy is playing, I think, is it Austria? Let's see. Where can I find that out? Go to my Xfinity. I love soccer. I coached my daughter's soccer team. It was so cute. They were so polite. They didn't win a single match because they were not aggressive on the ball, all that kind of stuff. I've never played soccer myself, but I love soccer so much that I wanted to coach it. And so let's see, do they show what's going on? Oh, they're not. So soccer. Italy is playing right now. Let's see if they show. Italy versus Austria. Oh, it's almost over. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's still at 0-0. Oh my gosh. And 71 minutes into the game, 0-0, Italy versus Austria. Okay, well, I know what I get to watch. That's awesome. Italy's one of the favorites. I just saw, who was it? Denmark did great. Will, yeah, Denmark was awesome. That was an awesome game, man. They kicked butt. That was so cool. Okay, thank you all for your joining and hanging. This has been very fun. Yeah. Yeah, when I was there, it was brutal hot. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be very hot. So anyway, enjoy. If you have questions, there's the forums. Unify support at plugandgoo.com is our email for tech support. I'll have a sale during 4th of July. Shout out from Germany, Daniela. Good to see you. Good to see everyone. If you're Welsh. Yeah, poor Welsh. They had a day extra of rest, I guess. So we were expected to be a little bit more. Yeah, it's going to be like 45 today, 45 Celsius here in Portland. That's hot. All right. Cheers to you all. I'm out of here. I will talk to you soon. Thank you for your support. Don't forget the Plugin Guru MegaMagic Pads Library 2 is available on sale. 150 patches. Unified Labs. We looked at that really cool guitar amp. It's got a few problems and issues, but those will all get sorted out. Muramasa Electrum. And then Crotos has the really cool granular concept too. So, fun live stream. See you later. Have a great 4th. Be safe, everybody, wherever you are. And we'll see you when we get back. When is that? Like July 11th. So we'll see you on the 11th. Okay?